The reason why I think we're most advanced as toddlers is because as toddlers, we understand that we don't understand. Failure is the prerequisite of success, because even if you try on your first shot and you win, right? Because I know some people who do that. Like, they'll get involved in something, or they'll do something, and the first thing they try is just a big win. And if you can still behave the way I'm describing, that's going to be the secret, because then you're able to continue to strive. And now you're not starting over. I think a lot of people think that once something go wrong, you're starting over from the beginning, but you're not. You're never starting over from the beginning, even if you lose everything financially. What is going on? What is going on? This is another episode of Shark Talk. My name is Shaqq The Shark. Make sure you like, subscribe, comment on anything that you get of value from this podcast. So the reason why I wanted to do this podcast, this episode, was to clarify some of the things in some of the previous episodes. If you haven't seen the interview with Mr. Justin Owens, make sure you go check that out. Also, another episode I did with Brandon Stringer. Make sure you check out both of those episodes. I think they are really insightful. But I wanted to talk about a few of the things and the lessons and go into more detail, just in case, some of you guys didn't get or understand some of the things we were talking about, because I think that it's important to be, fully transparent, so y'all can really get the full scoop and the full scope of what's going on. So just to clarify, Mr. Justin Owens was talking about leaving people out of your story. So me and Justin, used to be business partners. A few years ago, we started a network marketing company together. And before that, I actually brought him into my organization and was teaching him some of the things that, we were doing in order to build a massive organization. We already had a massive organization before he got involved. But when he got involved, with his experience in sales and also his network marketing experience, we kind of joined forces and really helped him blow out the business really fast. And so after that business didn't work out, we became business partners with other people as well. And, long story short story long, the people whom we put in charge of certain things was, we later found out mismanaging certain things. Now, I'm not naming names. I'm not talking about specifics of anything, right? But I'm going to say this. I ended up leaving, or not even leaving, being kicked out of the company for basically going with my gut. I knew something was wrong. I said something is wrong. The way things are being conducted is wrong. And I left. And I left in a very, I got booted. Like because I was already acting like I was ready to leave. Things that was happening wasn't sitting right with my spirit. People were doing things very underhanded. People were getting more money than they supposed to from various things. And at the time I didn't know if Justin was complicit in what was going on, but I later found out that he wasn't, right? Like I always thought Justin was a really good guy because, obviously we were back to back for years. And I was more so hurt than anything, on the back end of that business, because I was really passionate about it. That was the thing, So, I just wanted to share that story because, a lot of the time in business, people talk about the wins. And if you are inspired by those winners and you decide to start your own journey with becoming successful, then what happens a lot of the time is people get involved in the journey. And because nobody talk about the troubles or the losses or, any of the problems they face, when you start facing these adversities, you start to feel like that it's only happening to you, right? I know that's how I was feeling, and I know that it's not true now, because because I'm on the other side of it and I'm winning now, right? I talk to other entrepreneurs and they open up more about some of the losses that they were able to get past because they are winners are willing to talk to winners very candidly. And typically when you're not in that winning position, a winner don't really want to tell somebody who can't relate to their problems, right? But I think that it's a disservice to a lot of people who are inspired by winners to not know some of the troubles that the winners had to go through. So you could prepare yourself to not only meet those problems, but expect them, right? Because I promise you, like if success was a journey that was like a clean, like uphill, smooth uphill battle, it's not. It's so squiggly. It's like, some days you're on the high, some days you're on the absolute low, some days you're on the high, some days you're even higher than that, and some days you below where you started, right? Like that's really how the journey go, and I don't think people talk about that enough, right? Me and Brandon Stringer was talking about a situation where we're investing money with people. So one of the investments that we were talking about was an investment we made into a film, right? So we invested money into a film, over $30,000, and at the time I was only making that was my first 6-figure year, so investing $30,000 into anything, any single thing, was a significant investment for me at the time, and I had high hopes for that investment. And we've actually did executive produce multiple movies. But the guy who was behind that project, I don't think he had the intent, or maybe he did, but he just didn't follow through with paying us back. We didn't make pretty much any of our money back. We probably made I'm not gonna say any money. We probably got like $5,000 total that we split between the two of us, and then got a lot of lip service. But, I haven't heard from that person in years at this point. And, I don't know what he got going on in his life, and I really don't care. But I'm sharing this with you guys because a lot of the time, you could be doing what you think is the right thing. And because everybody isn't, they don't have the integrity, or, they don't carry themselves the way that you would hope they would carry themselves, you end up finding yourself getting the short end of the stick. I think that it's important for people to understand that trusting the process is critically important, no matter what you go through. Like me and Brandon was laughing about it now because we got past it and are at a certain point where it's like, okay, I learned a lot from that. It's not devastating to me at my current state, right? But at a certain point, it was devastating. It was frustrating. It was hurtful. It was a lot of things, and because people don't want to share that, a lot of us don't get any value from the horror stories. If you decide you want to be an entrepreneur, you want to earn money in a non-traditional way where you want to earn something outside of your 9 to 5, one of the things that you got to understand is you don't have a lot of experience starting off. So when you start, you're going to make terrible decisions. You start off making bad decisions because you don't have anything to compare those you don't have any experiences to, know any better. Embrace that. And it's perfectly fine if you got to start over a few times. One of the books that I read that really helped me weather my storms and keep going enthusiastically was a book called Richest Man in Babylon. The reason why this book helped me out a lot was because it shows you wealth principles and it makes it so simple. You could actually find this short, condensed version of this book if you don't want to read the full book on YouTube. Type in Richest Man in Babylon by Napoleon Hill, and you'll be able to find a 30-minute version, a condensed version of the full book. If you want to read the full book, you can do that as well. I'm not saying don't read the full book, but I got a lot of value out of that because it shows you how simple life could be. But, even when you hear it, you're going to understand the simple principles that it lay out. But that doesn't mean that you're not going to have to go through hurdles. I think that if you're the type of person to even listen to this podcast, if you're the type of person to get value from, the sharks that I bring on, or the high-level thinkers and entrepreneurs, because I'm not even just going to bring on entrepreneurs. I'm going to bring on high-level thinkers, right? If you want to hear from those types of people, then typically you probably are a high-level thinking person yourself. And if that's the case, we're all babies in certain arenas. We're all inexperienced in certain arenas. I like to say babies are the most advanced. When you're in the infancy stage or the toddler stage, that's the most advanced stage in human evolution. And let me tell you why. The reason why I think we're most advanced as toddlers is because as toddlers, we understand that we don't understand. We don't have enough life experience to be impatient with ourselves. We don't have enough life experience at that point to, beat ourselves up. We don't have any expectations for ourselves. We just kind of go through the motions. Like, let's use walking, for example. When you first tried to learn how to walk, right? Most of us can't remember that. I can't remember me trying to walk. But you can think about other, a baby that, as an adult now or however old you are, if you watch a baby learning how to walk, that baby may fall, that baby may, continuously fall over and over again. And at no point does the baby or the toddler get frustrated with themselves. At no point does the toddler think, man, I just can't walk. I'm giving up on walking. At no point does the toddler feel anything other than the desire to do what they see everybody else doing, which is walking, right? It doesn't matter what the toddler has to go through up until the point where they can get on 2 feet and take steps like everybody else around them. They are willing to go through the process. And because they have so few experiences, they understand that it's nothing to really be upset about or frustrated about or try to quit, because what other choice do they have? They have to get this life skill down. And eventually they get it down and they take their first few steps and then they fall over, and then eventually they start to learn how to get their balance. And then next thing you know, you see them running around and they will never sit down, right? So I believe that when we're toddlers, we're at our most advanced state because our brain is developing so rapidly, that it kind of slows up as we get older, simply because we don't cover so much. We don't change or rewire our thinking as rapid as a toddler does. So I challenge you to be more childlike. I know people saying you're childish is a bad thing, but in this case, I'm giving you guys permission to be childish in any arena that you want to become great in, but you don't necessarily have a significant amount of experience in. You can be childish from the perspective of, you're not too overly serious with yourself to the point where you're frustrated because you didn't get it down packed the first time. You could be childish in the sense where you're actually enjoying the process, where you laughing at yourself when you make a mistake rather than crying. Man, this life stuff, man, I don't care who you are, you're not going to make it out of it alive, right? So you might as well just do what you want. If you want to do something, you can mess up, you can blow it, you can, I give you permission to go back to the drawing board and try again. We hear this type of stuff all the time, but realistically, like, I'm sharing these stories with you guys because these are some of the times where in my mind, I felt like I'm doing everything that I'm supposed to do and I'm supposed to get what I deserve. I'm putting myself out there. I'm providing the resources. I'm providing the work ethic. I'm providing the elements that are supposed to make you successful. And then I find myself at the end of it all, not where I'm supposed to be. And I'm sharing this truth with you guys transparently because I don't see enough of this. I think that if more people did this, I think more people would be more unashamed of their shortcomings or more unashamed of, people judging them for not winning, because failure is not the opposite of success. It's the prerequisite. And I think that if we talked about that, failure is the prerequisite of success. Because even if you try on your first shot and you win, right? Because I know some people who do that. Like, they'll get involved in something or they'll do something and the first thing they try is just a big win. they still haven't met their demons. They still haven't met that low yet. You know, you can start something brand new today and make $1 million day one. But if you're 18, 19 years old and you instant millionaire, I'm not saying you're never going to, I'm not saying you're going to go back to zero. But what I'm saying is you're going to make some mistakes. That's the human element of life. So when that mistake come, like, what are you going to do? What type of person are you going to be? You know, and that's what defines you. You can make $1 million, you know, 20 years old, 25 years old, 30 years old, first year in business, 7 figures, and then the following year lose it. I know so many people who won in business. I'm talking about they're winning big, and then they got married, and then a few years later they got a divorce, and now they're struggling to get by because they made a mistake of picking the wrong spouse. And it's like they made all the right decisions in business, but this is a personal hurdle that they got to overcome that put them in a position, and now they have to get back, and now they have to figure out how to get their footing, and now they have to figure out how to earn their confidence back, their everything. And a lot of the times, like, you know, we hear these stories, but we don't really recognize the lesson in them. The lesson is it's going to be highs and lows, regardless of who you are. You just got to embrace them all. Don't get too optimistic or too happy in your highs, and don't get too depressed in your lows. One of the ultimate positions that you can take, and this is something that I'm learning to master now, because I'm not even going to act like I'm to the point of, you know, mastery with being stoic. You know, if I win big, I'm not too celebratory. You know, not saying that I don't celebrate my wins, because I try to, you know, celebrate it, but I don't go over the top. And when I lose, I don't try to get so beat down that, you know, circumstances dictate the type of person I am. Like, I can have a day where I make, you know, 6 figures in a day. And I've experienced that before, which is, you know, not to brag. I'm not bragging, because I've also experienced days where I lost over 6 figures, multiple 6 figures, right? And in each environment, I try to be consistent in character. I try to be consistent in, you know, how I behave. I try to keep up my daily habits. I try to do all of the things that's necessary in order to continue to conduct myself in a way that is going to produce the best outcome for my life, right? I'll still go to the gym. I'll still, you know, talk to my mom and, you know, talk about whatever she want to talk about. I'll still, you know, be there for my family. I won't allow myself to get so depressed that now, you know, nobody can call me. Don't call me right now. I'm having a bad day, or, you know, like, I just lost so much money. I don't want to. It's like, it's part of the game. And when you get to that point, it's not when you get a lot of money, now you're there. Like, because I think a lot of people believe that. A lot of people believe that, you know, once you get to the point of having a lot of money, you know, then that's the reason why you behave this way. It's like, no, you can have a lot of money, then lose a lot of money. And if you can still behave the way I'm describing, that's going to be the secret, because then you're able to continue to stride. And now you're not starting over. I think a lot of people think that once something go wrong, you're starting over from the beginning, but you're not. You're never starting over from the beginning. Even if you lose everything financially, you're starting from scratch with experience. Starting with experience and understanding that every L is not a loss, it's a lesson. Then you can get to the M's, right? You can't get to the M's without a few L's. Think about it. You even say your ABCs, there's no, in the alphabet, M's come after L's, right? And I think that's intentional, because I think that, you know, that's the way life goes. It's a life principle. Man, I wish somebody would have told me that when I first got started, because when I had my L's, my lessons early on, I would stay in bed. I wouldn't eat. I wouldn't take care of myself. I felt really bad, because I thought that, you know, if you really put yourself out there, if you really try hard, if you really focus, that you're supposed to get what you deserve. And that's wishful thinking, and it has some truth to it, but the universe has to test to make sure that you're serious about getting those blessings and maintaining those blessings, right? I sincerely believe that. Regardless of what life throws at you, think about that toddler who's trying to learn how to walk, and remember that at one point that was you. And you were very patient with yourself, and you were resilient, and you were serious about, getting to the point where you were walking. I did another episode with a guy by the name of Andre Norman, which is a very interesting guy. I said it in the episode, but I did learn a lot from Andre. Our relationship concluded explosively, right? Like, we were very upset with each other. Like, I'm not even gonna say he was upset with me. He might have just been frustrated, like, to the point where it's like, what you gonna do, right? Like, very aggressive. And on the back end, because I was really locked in to what we were doing, I know he mentioned, like, I couldn't even pay you. It's like, I don't recall what he was referring to. I do remember thinking, like, I really gotta trust myself more. And even though I learned a lot from this situation, it's time for me to focus on making sure that I'm in control of my own situations. When I say he fired me, I wasn't his employee. Like, we decided to be business partners, and I was going to be on the management side of the business, and it didn't work out. He decided, no, I'm not interested in this partnership anymore, which by definition is firing somebody. I was at the time hurt by that, but then I realized you're not supposed to be anybody number two. You're supposed to be focused on your own path and your own business. And I took the lessons he taught me, because the man is very, very wise, and he's very skilled, at what he does. And even though I was mad, I was very upset. I moved on, and at this point, I can just say, "Hey, man, I appreciate you." And I think that when we get to a certain point, when you get to a certain point of understanding, like, a lot of people who upset you along the way, or may not have done you, in your opinion, just, you could get to the point of finding the silver lining and showing some level of appreciation, because he got his own story and his own perspective on how things went, and I have mine, and I don't think either one is wrong, right? Like, we're all trying to do our best in this journey called life, and I think that when you're focused on being the best version of yourself, regardless of what you go through, you're going to come across tests and situations that, you may not be the best version of yourself when you deal with them. And that's okay. But the fact that you're actually in the game puts you ahead of so many other people that it doesn't make sense. Yeah, like I'm getting a lot of value out of putting this podcast together. I hope you guys are getting a lot of value out of watching it and listening to it, because I really enjoy doing it. And I want to make sure I continue to bring you guys as much value as I can. And I want to make sure that, I'm able to be as transparent with this process as I can, because we can all make it look good, like spending money on things to make it look like, hey, I'm bigger than life. I got more money than you, and all. Like, we did that type of marketing, and we helped a lot of people and attracted a lot of people and tricked a lot of people into success. But now I want to not trick anybody, but share with anybody who's interested exactly how I'm possible, exactly who is responsible, or who I was around, and also, bringing on some of the people that inspired me, maybe even from afar. Yeah, I want you guys to be able to look at my story, from zero to multimillionaire, from not having any shot at being successful to, being one of the most successful people in my family. I honestly don't know anybody more successful in my family. And I'm not just talking about money. So with that being said, I want you to be able to say that for yourself, and hopefully inspire other people in your family to do better for themselves, because that's all that this is about. Hopefully some of my family watching this and is inspired by what I'm talking about, because that's all this is for. With that being said, man, please, please, please like, comment, subscribe on whatever platform you're listening to this or watching this. Make sure you go over to join the Discord. I just created the Discord. If you don't have the link, then you can probably find it on my social media. Join the Discord so you can actually join the conversation, because Shark Talk is the podcast where we bring sharks, where we bring sharks on the show, talk to them as sharks, and bring you in on a conversation. But we're taking that to another level with the Discord because you'll actually be a part of the conversation, literally. So make sure you get involved in that. It's a lot of great value in there. You can actually have conversations with the sharks that we bring on. You can ask us questions that we can actually use on the show potentially. If you asking a great question that we think that's a valid question, so you can actually help us dictate the conversation or swing the conversation in a certain direction. So make sure you join the Discord, and that is another episode. I appreciate you guys for listening, and I look forward to seeing you guys at the bank.